which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Childs. Staff, will you please call the roll?
Member Ortega?
Here.
Member Francis?
Here. Here.
Member Perez Diaz?
Here.
Member Childs?
Here.
Member Belmetero? Here. Member Hickman?
Here.
Member Pickren?
Here.
Member Young? Here. Member Ellis? Here. Member Maynard?
Here.
Member Hardy? Here. Vice Chair Little?
Here.
Member Racine? Member Racine? Member Brooks?
Present.
Chair Kinsey?
Here. Thank you. A quorum is present. The next business to be considered is the approval of the minutes of the State Board of Education meetings from September 13th of 2024. Are there any corrections to the minutes? There are no corrections to the minutes. The minutes are approved. The next business in order is the presentation of resolutions. We are pleased to have several resolutions for consideration. First, the resolutions honoring departing members of the State Board of Education.
Good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. I have the honor and privilege of speaking for a second time this week in honor of the amazing Dr. Melissa Ortega and a very dear friend of mine now. So, whereas Dr. Melissa N. Ortega was elected to District 1 of the Texas State Board of Education in November 2022, where she served as a member of the Committee on Instruction. And whereas she's a dedicated public servant for education who has the eagerness and passion to improve public education in Texas. And whereas she attended El Paso Community College, Southwest Texas State University, and the University of Umeå, Sweden, where she studied transnational feminism. And whereas she attended the University of Texas in El Paso, where she earned her bachelor's degree in interdisciplinary studies with a focus on education and her PhD in teaching, learning, and culture, focusing her dissertation on the identity and learning outcomes of mentor veteran teachers in STEM education. And whereas she has presented her research at several conferences, including the University of Texas in El Paso, Annual Women's History Month Conference, the Southwest Diversity Summit, New Mexico State University's annual mentoring conference, Society for Information Technology and Teacher Education, and the American Institute of Higher Education International Conference. And whereas her research has appeared in journals such as the American Institute for Higher Education, Society for Informational Technology and Teacher Education, and iManager's Journal of Educational Technology. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the State Board of Education wishes Dr. Melissa N. Ortega all the very best on her next pursuit, and be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Dr. Melissa N. Ortega and that a copy be included in the permanent records of the State Board of Education. Witness our signatures this 22nd day of November, 2024 in Austin, Texas. Felicidades, amiga. I love you. And while I'm sad to see you go, I know this isn't goodbye. I forgot to give you your resolution.
Dr. Ortega, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. I didn't have a speech prepared once again, so
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. This has been one of the greatest honors of my life, serving on this board. I wanted to be a teacher since I was in 5th grade, and this was my opportunity to continue to work for students across Texas, and it's been an incredible experience, and it's been a ride, an adventure this whole time, and getting to not only represent the students in Texas, but the students at home in El Paso and in the area, and students across the border. I get to represent you all in a way that I always wanted to be represented. And I have daughters that also are in the public school system in my area, and being able to serve and know that what we're doing here is for the best students here in Texas. And really, I just want to thank you all again so much for the opportunity, and being able to meet you all and learn from you and work alongside helping students has just been, like I said, one of the greatest honors of my life. So thank you.
So just so everybody knows, we had a kind of a big reception last night, and we presented some items and some, in the words of Pat Sajak, lovely parting gifts, Kat, and so, but we're going to represent those in this venue today, and so on behalf of all of us, is that we'd like to present you this seal of the State Board of Education, and a flag flown over the Texas Capitol in your honor by your good friend, Representative Claudia Ordaz. So.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rebecca Bell Metereau from District 5, and it is my extreme honor to present a resolution for former member Aisha Davis. Can you please join me up here? Whereas Aisha Davis began her education career as a 6th grade reading and science teacher in Louisiana, serving students and families affected by Hurricane Katrina, and later moving to high school where she taught advanced sciences and engineering and coached robotics teams that competed nationally. And whereas upon moving to Texas in 2011, she worked in the Irving and DeSoto Independent School Districts, where she was a science teacher with English as a second language and principal certifications. And whereas her passion for education continued when she was elected to the State Board of Education in November 2018, and was a member of the Committee on Instruction. She was reelected in 2022, serving 1.7 million Texans in part of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And whereas this phenomenon led the adoption of African American Studies as a Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, or TEKS-based course in 2020, and whereas lead instructor for the Texas Education Policy Institute, she taught education policy and advocacy to educators. And whereas Aisha Davis was appointed vice chair of the Committee on School Initiatives in 2021 and served a 2-year term in that committee. And whereas her amazing mother, Precious Davis, where is she? Shout out. Yeah. Served as her thought partner, trip navigator, private eye and security, entertainer and cheerleader at nearly every board meeting. And whereas Aisha Davis is a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, the Texas Alliance of Black School Educators, and the Texas Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents. And whereas she served the board for almost 6 years until she decided to run for an office where she could support stronger laws for Texas public schools, students, and teachers. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the State Board of Education wishes Aisha Davis all the best as she ventures her way to the Texas House of Representatives. And be it further resolved that this resolution be presented to Aisha Davis and that a copy be included in the permanent records of the State Board of Education. Witness our signatures this 22nd day of November 2024 in Austin, Texas. Go for it, girl.
And Member Davis, to commemorate your leadership as Vice Chair of the Committee on School Initiatives and your service on the board, we're going to present you this House gavel. So you'll have one to keep in your office at the House. And your good friend and mentor, Senator Royce West, had this flag flown over the Texas Capitol in your honor and in honor of your service. Thank you for your service and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just a few thank yous. First of all, I want to introduce y'all to my niece, Kai. And she is the reason I'm in Texas. I met her as a baby, and I looked at her, and she looked at me, and she smiled at me. And I literally drove to Baton Rouge, and I packed up enough clothes for 2 weeks, and I've been in Texas ever since. So I'm so grateful. And she's so important because she was in 3rd grade when I first ran. And I would ask her all the time, Kai, how did you do on your STAR? And Kai, what did you learn today? And she would tell me, Mimi, I learned this and that. And I would ask her, what more do you need to learn? And she would tell me that too. And I made a lot of decisions based on what Kai would advise me with and what other students would tell me. And I've always tried to do what's best for our kids in our public schools. So thank you, Kai, for everything. And of course, my mom, she was at nearly every meeting with me, especially over these last couple of years. Everybody knows my mom, and they see me, the first thing they say is, where's your mom? So y'all are going to see her more because she's decided she loves this more than she loves that. So y'all going to see her a lot of times, even when I'm over at the house. And to TEA staff, y'all have been amazing over these years. I mean, just a wealth of knowledge. And as I have my meetings over at the house, they ask me about education, but I know what I know because I've learned from y'all. And I know I wasn't all sweet and flowers, but I learned that you all are really and truly the experts at what goes on with education in Texas. And I'm so grateful to have learned from each of you. And I don't see Monica. Monica, if you're watching, you're one of the most brilliant women I know, somebody who knows more about Texas public education than anybody in all of Texas. So I appreciate everything you've done. And my amazing fiance, last time I was here, I wasn't engaged. And I appreciate you watching every single meeting, cheering me on when I'm tired, when I'm sleepy, when I'm frustrated. You and my mom, y'all have always been just such a positive voice for me. So thank you so much. And last, my colleagues, y'all. I have gotten to know y'all like family. I mean, I really, truly have. Marissa, like seriously, like that cousin, and Stacy, like that little sister, and Pam and Pat, like my aunties. So, y'all, I appreciate y'all so much for the time we spent, and even LJ, like the little brother. You know how your little brother's fight. But I appreciate getting to know each and every one of y'all so much. And I'm not sad because I know I'm going to see y'all all the time anyway. I'm going to be calling on y'all to figure out what's going on and how we can make even stronger schools for our kids. So this has been an amazing journey. As a teacher, I never thought I would be here. Y'all, I will never be able to tell you how much I appreciate you and how blessed I feel for having y'all in my life. So thank you guys so much, and I really look forward to continuing to work with everyone. Thank you.
I'm Pam Little, and I'm extremely honored to present this resolution to Ms. Hardy, and she has joined me up here. She's always on top of things. I didn't even have to ask her to join me. So, whereas Patricia Pat Hardy this year completes 21 years of dedicated service on the State Board of Education, and whereas who in Sam Hill could have predicted the far-reaching impact Pat Hardy would have on public education at the local, state, and national level when she began her teaching career after graduating from Howard Payne University. And whereas this career educator brought her practical experience as a world history and world geography teacher and a district-level social studies coordinator to her work on the State Board of Education as she helped create and shape statewide education policies. And whereas Ms. Pat Hardy has served on all 3 board committees, including serving as the vice chair and chair of the School Finance Permanent School Fund Committee and secretary of the board. Whereas her conservative fiscal leadership helped influence wise diversification and investments in the state's prestigious Permanent School Fund, which grew from a market value of $16.8 billion when she joined the board in January of 2003 to its present-day value of $63.7 billion, an increase of almost 400%. Whereas Pat Hardy's influence was perhaps most impactful in the adoption and refinement of the state's social studies Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. Whereas Pat Hardy, a former Texas Social Studies Supervisor of the Year, offered advice about the social studies curriculum standards, the board listened to this in-house expert. And whereas Pat Hardy continued to maintain her close connection to students throughout her long service on the Texas coordinator of the National Geographic Bee, through her work as co-director of the Kids Hope Mentor Program and as a member of the Texas America 250 Commission. Whereas serving as a classroom teacher, a member of the State Board of Education, or a Homeowners Association board member, Pat Hardy has lived her life in service to others, and now, therefore, it be resolved that the State Board of Education gratefully thanks Pat Hardy for her dedication and devotion to the children of Texas and public schools, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall be presented to Pat Hardy, and that copy be included in the permanent records of the State Board of Education. Witness our signatures this 22nd day of November 2024 in Austin, Texas. Aaron Kinsey, Chair. Pam Little, Vice Chair. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We have one other.
Oh.
Now, this is
Beautiful.
probably a surprise for you. This is the recognition as the official commission Yellow Rose of Texas.
Thank you.
And I'm sure most of us in this room know that there was a yellow rose at one time that possibly changed the course of Texas history.
They got to get in their history there.
Yeah, and I feel like this is very appropriate for Ms. Hardy because with the lives of the students that she changed in the state of Texas, she has absolutely changed the course of history in the state of Texas.
Thank you.
And we cannot thank her enough for her service.
Oh, I appreciate that. I love that.
And on behalf of all of us, as we'd like to present you this House gavel to commemorate not only your service on the board, but your leadership on the board, on the Committee on Instruction, Permanent School Fund, and 20 years on the Permanent School Fund, and what a remarkable run that has been. Thank you for being a friend and ally. And so we'd like to present this as a keepsake, and this flag flown over the Texas Capitol by State Representative Charlie Guerin, your good friend from Fort Worth. And thank you. We can't say that enough, and congratulations.
Oh, thank y'all. Appreciate it.
That's too heavy for me to even hold. Oh, it's heavy, isn't it? Okay, thank y'all very much. It's really very, very touching. And I haven't even thought about what I might want to say, except that I am here because of so many people in this audience have supported me, the people on this staff that support me, the people in this room that support me, because you can't do it alone. You have to have a team. And so every one of you have been some part, some way a part of that, and I appreciate that immensely. The one thing that I think that I probably brought to the State Board of Education that really threw me off when I first got here was we were not talking to teachers. And the teachers are in the field, and they know what's going on. And so I began to introduce a lot of my friends and people I knew in the different areas of core curricula and so forth. And so we really now do a lot depending on what these teachers come to us with information and ideas and so forth. So I think that made the board a lot more open to hearing from other people. And we do that regularly. I am very happy. I'm not going to cry like the rest of you cried. I'm old now, you know, you don't, you think, I can take some easy time here, because I don't know if the audience realizes this, but it's a lot of work to be on the State Board of Education. It's a lot of reading. A friend of mine asked me, you know, you want to read this? I said, no, I gotta go read stuff on the third grade, whatever, you know. So anyway, it's going to be nice to be able to kind of look in on the meetings. I've heard from different ones who've been on the board, they only do that once or twice, and then that's it, you know. But it has been an honor to represent my district and to be on the State Board of Education and get to know every one of you. So thank you so much.
Members, all those in favor of adopting the 3 proposed resolutions for our outgoing members, please say aye. Aye. The resolutions have passed. Next will be a resolution honoring the winners of the 2024 National History Day contest. It will be presented by Ms. Hardy.
I'm always waiting for instructions from our dear leader there. I couldn't remember whether this was next or not. This is something that I have the honor to do. I think those of you who heard the choir sing earlier, I'd asked them to sing some patriotic music and so forth, and they did. Well, one of the things that we're getting ready to do right now is represent the History Day winners, the National History Day winners. And for parents and aunts and uncles and all the different people in this room, I really want y'all to listen as I read this resolution on these youngsters, because they have done an incredible amount of work and thought. When you read these, you'll think, oh man, I'd like to see what they had to say about it. Another thing I want you to notice about this group of young people, and there's some junior high people in here as well, it's such a great, diverse crowd of kids from all over the state and all different kind of backgrounds. Now, what is the History Day? History Day, you guys start about in September working on this, don't you? They put in hours and hours of work. And one of the things that the State Board of Education likes to see is like our interest in fine arts, and this kind of comes under the social arts. So these youngsters are very, very dedicated to that job because it takes hours. Now, I'm sure y'all have parents in the audience too. And so let's see if those parents, they're all standing up right now, aren't they? If you're in the audience and you're not taking a picture, you can stand up as well. Now, this is sort of like the choir kids. It takes a lot of driving to the school, picking them up, taking them, but this group all ends up in, not Baltimore, what is it? In Maryland, where? College Park, Maryland. They end up in College Park, Maryland, and that is for they represent Texas in the national finals. And these have all come back with some recognition from that particular event. So I'm going to read to you the resolution now. The State Board of Education considers high academic standards as the foundation of public education in Texas. And whereas the National History Day program fosters academic achievement and intellectual growth and requires students to participate to conduct extensive primary and secondary source research on top of historical significance and promote pride in each student's participant's heritage and in our nation's and place in the world. Whereas the annual National History Day contest with the theme of Turning Points in History was held in College Park, Maryland on June 9th through 13th, 2024. Whereas Tori White of Nimitz High School in Houston, Texas, when I call your name like Tori, would you step forward and then you can step back? Is Tori here? Okay, Tori's not here. Achieved the second place in the senior division, senior individual performance category with her performance titled Red Light, Gladys West, and the Global Positioning System. These are very interesting titles. I want y'all to listen closely for this. All right, this one is, whereas Alaya Ajane, Ambeka Nair, Celeste Banks, Sumatra Gudetti of the Honor Roll School in Sugar Land, Texas, achieved fourth place in the junior division group website category with their website titled Invention of the Smallpox Vaccine and the Birth of Mass Vaccination. Thank you, girls. Whereas Nora Gillum of Dripping Springs Middle School in Dripping Springs, Texas, achieved fourth place in the junior division of individual website category with her website titled Poisoned Pills, How the 1982 Tylenol Scare Became a Turning Point in Consumer Safety. Whereas Felicity Falk and I'm going to say this one wrong, Sevel Pineda of Veterans Memorial Early College High School in Brownsville, Texas, achieved fourth place in the senior division group exhibit category with the exhibit titled Exposed Wire Leads to Fire, How One Telegram Ignited America's Rise to Power. Very interesting. Whereas Anali Ramirez, Gabrielle Ramirez, Jonathan Lewis, Yasiver Singh Gill, and of E.F. Green Middle School in Houston, Texas, achieved fifth place in the junior division exhibit category with their exhibit titled From Sea to Shining Sea, The Transcontinental Railroad Refines the Face of a Nation. Good job, boys. Whereas Grant Gillum of Dripping Springs High School, Dripping Springs High School in Dripping Springs, Texas, achieved fifth place in the senior division individual website with his website titled Fueling Victory, How the Inch Pipeline Became a Turning Point in World War II. Whereas Delinda Hernandez of Stillman Middle School in Brownsville, Texas, achieved 7th place in the Junior Division Individual Performance category with her performance titled The Digitalization of Filmmaking, a Turning Point in Modern Storytelling. Whereas Austin Thomas and Bryson Gardner of Baytown Junior High School in Baytown, Texas, achieved 9th place in the Junior Division Exhibit category with their exhibit entitled The Box That Changed the World. And therefore be it resolved that the State Board of Education does hereby congratulate the 2024 National History Day honorees from Aldine Independent School District, the Honor Roll School Sugar Land, Dripping Springs Independent School District, Brownsville Independent School District, Goose Creek Consolidated Independent School District, and San Antonio Independent School District. And be it further resolved that this resolution be presented and the aforementioned students for this high level of achievement of 2024 National History Day contest, and that a copy be included in the permanent records of the State Board of Education. Witness our signatures the 23rd of November 2024 in Austin, Texas. Aaron Kinsey, Chair, Pat Hardy, Secretary. So congratulations. Do what now? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. I failed to recognize the person who really is over all this, Lisa Berg. Where's Lisa? Lisa, this is a very, very involved thing to get kids all over the state to cooperate. And as you heard when I read this, you represent the districts from many of these students all over the state. So with the board members in, let's see, Ms. Childs, Ms. Pickering, Ms. Belmedero, L.J. Francis, Audrey Young, and Marissa Perez. Would you all please get in the next picture that they're going to be shown, taken?
All of you in the room, especially you parents that are out there today.
Just say a few words about what we're talking about. Is this excuse me, can it, okay, here. So I just want to tell you or emphasize how special what these children have achieved in getting this award today. They're part of more than 60,000 children across the state of Texas that participate in this incredible event. And those winners go to Washington, D.C., and Texas sends more representatives than any other state in the union. So how about some applause for that on behalf of them? This entire effort is directed by the Texas State Historical Association, which we do annually, and all the children come here to Austin, and for them this is a unique experience. And what they have achieved here is those kind of things that we say about children. You educate them properly, and they can in turn change the world. And if they're world changers on this platform or in this room, they're likely to come from this group that are standing behind me today. So applaud them, please, and the children and their families and all the sacrifice they made to get here. And let me just say in closing, there's a person here that got applause and got recognition. But I can assure you that nobody in this room today has influenced positively the life of our children any more than Pat Hardy has. And I will assure you she can get our applause today, but it will never suffice to actually pay a tribute for all she has done. There is not a single person in the state of Texas in the last 20 years that has more favorably influenced the educational outcome for our children than has she. And I will assure you, I don't know what she's going to get here in time, but there's an award reserved for her, a crown of righteousness in heaven. Thank you.
I wish one thing, you would look at how well groomed all these children are. They look so special. But the fact that these children come from a lot of different ethnic backgrounds, and yet we're all about our love of country. And that's what's so exciting about what this project does. And as usual, Texas does kind of beat the other states. They're always like, oh, Texas group. I've heard that Steve Cure, who used to be the leader of this group before Lisa took it on, would come and he would do a Texas flag was it a Texas flag or Texas flag on the high point in College Park? Like, in other words, we're here. And then they would sweep all the national awards too. So congratulations to each and every one of you. And I hope that those of you in the audience will think about looking into this for other people that you know of that have an interest in history and would look into what this project entails. And you can always get in touch with Lisa because she can talk to the teachers that would be overseeing this in the local school district. So I'm promoting you guys to be ambassadors for your projects, and that you get the word out to the other students that this is a really interesting and good and very patriotic thing to do. So thank you again for being here. Appreciate it so much, and for all that you've done. And for Lisa and for all the which one is it? The Texas State Historical Association, because I get kind of confused, mixed up with, we have Donna Bohorich in the audience here, and yours is what? Yeah, they throw me off. I can't keep them straight. And Dr. Gillum or Mr. Gillum, is he here? Yes, and you're a father of one of the participants, but you have been over the years working with this very thing on the national level. Is that right? Yes. So we're glad to have you here too, but he has a vested interest this go around for sure. So thank you very much. Thank y'all in the audience too. Okay, y'all can head off that way. Yeah. See, I need to give you one of these too. Whose is this? Is this yours? Lisa?
Yeah, I'm right here. Okay, you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, would the students not leave and their parents? Because I want you to see what's going to be, we're going to see a little video. I want y'all to see that.
Okay, members, you've heard the resolution. All those in favor of the resolution, please show by saying aye. Aye. The resolution is adopted. Next is going to be a presentation, Texas America 250.
Is Margaret Cook in the room? Margaret? Okay. Several people have asked me what I was going to do after leaving the State Board of Education, and something very special has opened up that I will be doing, and that is I'm going to be on the America 250. This is the celebration of the 250th birthday of the Declaration of Independence. And most of you on this board are not old enough to remember that in 1976 we had a big sesquicentennial, and this is a continuation, except it's not sesquicentennial, it's another esques in front of sesquicentennial, and I can't say it, but it'll be the 250th year. So this has a five people commission, and I'm the one that's representing the education on the commission. So one of the things I really want the state board to do is to, I'll send this information to you later, but for you to talk to the school districts in your areas to get them to be involved with this when this comes around. And we'll be getting more and more information for America 250 in the next few months, actually. So can you go ahead with the first slide?
After 247 years, you could say I've seen some things. Building a democracy from scratch, it isn't easy. Or being home to hundreds of millions from everywhere on Earth. Fact is, there have been challenges since the very beginning. Uphill battles, setbacks, and injustices. But you know, Americans, we got grit. We fight for what we need. And what's right. What we want for the next generation. We take care of each other when it gets rough. We inspire each other. Innovate together. And get the job done. And create so much opportunity. Heck, that's probably why folks have been inspired to come here for so long. And now, we've got a pretty big anniversary coming up. The big 250. So, in honor of that, we're launching America's Invitation. A chance to share your thoughts on our past, the heroes you love, and your dreams for the road ahead. Because your dreams will be our future. Your story is the American story.
So that gives you an idea of what is being done for this America 250. But the thing is, for the young people, there is a contest called the field trip. And you take on your own city or your own community and do a field trip. And that has all the information's on the website for that. That night. This is going to be the commemoration. Some of you maybe remember, if you're a little bit older, you remember that this was a time period when local communities, the children painted all the fire hydrants, red, white, and blue, and every small town, every large town, every medium-sized town had a parade on that particular day. And I have to say, it was a very special time. It was almost as if the country all came together and did a kumbaya at that time. And I would really like to see that happen. This will be in a year and a half. A lot of work to do until that time. We'll have local grants next on the slides. There'll be grants from the state for you to do different projects. If you want a Girl Scout troop or Boy Scout troop and you want to do some projects, or student councils for the schools, there are a lot of things that can be done in doing this. But this is the Texas Commission for the National 250 celebration. Next. The mission of the Texas 250 program is to celebrate the 250th birthday by building awareness of the role of Texas in the formation of the nation that ties the past to the present and the future. Next. Key goals in this effort, and one of those is education. And so to enhance civic knowledge and the founding principles of the country and the rights to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. To encourage Texans to unite in commemorating the semi-quincentennial and promote scholarship and research, illuminates the history of the American West and Texas's role in the formation of the nation. Recognition in service and sacrifices of veterans, and there's going to be a special segment that we're working with the veterans on and their families who have protected our liberties and independence for future generations. Collect, track, and share information about the Texas events and activities for the 250th birthday, and assess and report the state of the impact. So what I would like to encourage everyone to be is think love of neighbor, patriotic, that sort of thing, and let's bring this back to our country. This will be a great venue to work that from. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Member Hardy. Appreciate you bringing that to all of our attention and working with me over the last few months to get it on into today's meeting. The next item is going to be public testimony. I believe we have 11 testifiers. So public testimony on Friday is reserved for things that are not on the posted agenda earlier in the week. Reminder to board members, there's no questions with public testimony. Let staff call the testifiers up and go over the rules. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to call your name up in groups of 4. You'll hear a warning bell that indicates that you'll have 2 minutes to testify, and you'll hear a warning bell 30 seconds before your time is up, and then you'll hear the second bell at 2 minutes. Julia Brookins, Amy Villarreal, Stephen Sylvia Brave, Juana Townsley, Julia Brookins.
Good morning. My name is Julia Brookins, and I'm Senior Program Analyst for Teaching and Learning at the American Historical Association. Since your September meeting, the AHA has published a major report on a 2-year research project about teaching U.S. history in secondary schools, i.e. middle and high school. Our findings are now available in a report called American Lesson Plan, and there's a handout that's gone around. It's just 2 sides. So the question is, what did we learn? Number 1, secondary U.S. history teachers are professionals who are concerned mostly with helping their students learn central elements of our nation's history. Teachers want students to read and understand founding documents to prepare them for informed civic engagement. They also want students to grapple with the complex history and legacies of racism and slavery. These goals are not incompatible. We did not find deliberate classroom malpractice. Number 2, teachers make important curricular decisions with direct influence over what students are expected to learn. Despite legislative interventions, state-mandated assessment, and efforts to standardize instruction, history teachers retain substantial discretion in their daily work. Number 3, free online resources now outweigh traditional textbooks, which are unlikely to stand at the center of history instruction. While publishers pitch digital licenses and tech tools to districts, teachers instead make prolific use of a decentralized universe of no-cost or low-cost online resources. And that's what you have on the image on your handout. U.S. history teachers rely on a short list of trusted sites led by federal institutions. Number 4, room for improvement remains. A lack of resources, instructional time, and professional respect are among the clearest threats to the integrity of history education across the United States. If there is an inaccurate message being sent by our public schools to millions of students and their families, it is that history is not important enough to command time, attention, and public resources. Thank you.
Amy Villarreal. Stephen Sylvia Brave.
Ao Mitakiapi Stephen Silva Brave Menchiapi Sishagu Lakota. So my name is Stephen Silva Brave. I am from Dallas, Texas, born and raised, but I am a citizen of the Sishagu Lakota Nation. And I'm here to talk about American Indian Native Studies. We come and testify every time because every time we're not on the agenda. And that's all we're asking for is that the course be put for a first reading on the agenda in January. So just this year alone has highlighted how important it is for our students to know about American Indian and Native issues. In June, the Supreme Court upheld the Indian Child Welfare Act, a law that's been in place to protect Native families since the 70s. In October, President Biden issued an apology for the atrocities of the boarding school era. And just 2 days ago, Congress held a hearing on the missing and murdered Indigenous women crisis. And I want to ask how many people in this audience know why there's a special law in place for American Indian children? Why would there be a hearing about missing Indigenous women when aren't women from all different backgrounds going missing? If people had an understanding of tribal sovereignty of the different tribes and things like that, it would be much easier to understand these things. Imagine if Texas students went out into the world already having a leg up on things that most of the people throughout the country don't understand. This course gives an opportunity, like a crash course for high school students, to gain knowledge that, frankly, most people in the country don't have. And I ask Texas to lead the charge and be innovative. Let this course go to the first reading. All right, thank you all.
Tawana Townsley.
Mareweka, Ura, Chairman Kinsey, and board members for your time today. I am Hawana Townsley, a citizen of the Comanche Nation. I have actively participated in the creation of the Ains course since the first community meeting. Do you know what most people say when I tell them my great-grandfather was Quanah Parker and my great-grandmother was Wakiai, his lead wife? They say, fascinating, tell me more. The community was asked by the State Board of Education to write this course, and we did. We are fascinating. My sons learned next to nothing about natives in Texas when they were in school. Texas has one of the highest populations of American Indian Native people. We are still here. Why is this course stalled? I can't believe we've been waiting for over 4 years, especially since we were promised it would be on the agenda by an overwhelming majority vote. You can't say you're afraid of controversy anymore. We are interesting. If you've read the curriculum, you will know this already. From the previous questions that we have been asked as we have testified, we know what you know about us is the tip of the iceberg. We have valuable knowledge across all the strands. Move it to first reading in January to achieve approved TEAC status. We have provided you with a stellar pathway to an excellent experience that will pave the way to university-level education for the students. This course stands today as the culmination of relentless refinement. It has had thousands of hours of editing and revising to get it to the innovative status. We are willing to answer questions about anything in the course. We have offered many times. Number 2, pass the innovative course in January so that the schools that are already teaching it can continue.
Thank you. Next group of 4, Kennedy Court.
May I remind the audience that the way we acknowledge a testifier is with a jazz hand and not clapping or noise. Thank you.
Kennedy Cortez. Lena Martinez Wolfinger. Carol Anderson. And Jackie Biesinger. Kennedy Cortez.
Good. Biali Nanotoka Mashochi, Kennedy Cortez. I want to acknowledge we are on the indigenous lands of Turtle Island, so I expect your full attention. I'm an indigenous activist, higher education organizer, and UT Austin alumni. Happy Native American Heritage Month, by the way. I have over 45 written testimonies from educators, students, and parents. I get to redo it because my time was interrupted. Okay. I would like to just redo it then. Okay. I'm going to restart though because I do think I deserve the full 2 minutes, so. Piali Nanotoka Mashochi Kennedy Cortez. I am a Indigenous activist, higher education organizer, and UT Austin alumni. I want to acknowledge that we are on the indigenous lands of Turtle Island, and so I expect your full attention. I have over 45 written testimonies, all from educators, students, and parents, all calling for the Native Studies course to be offered in the January agenda. I want to know why the State Board of Education is turning their backs on students who make education possible, on educators who make education possible. Do you even know the lives you're impacting, the history you're erasing, the voices you're attempting to silence? It is very clear by your delay of this course that your priority is not the students, but your own self-serving agenda. Students from all over are being denied the truth of how much Indigenous people still exist today and the knowledge that comes from our cultures. Quote, a mother of two. Too often, Native history is taught in limited and reductive ways, focusing on a narrow time frame and focusing on Native peoples in the past. You have the nerve to put Indigenous studies to not put Indigenous studies on the agenda on Indigenous land, yet you put the implementation of Bible studies on the agenda. This is violent and disrespectful to us, the Indigenous people, and the students. You teach about the Holocaust, but not Native studies. Did you not forget that churches were used to conduct boarding schools, the massacre of Indigenous children? There was a Holocaust here on this land. Indigenous children were kidnapped from their families. The lack of education on Indigenous studies contributes to the missing and murdered Indigenous people epidemic that we heard from Stephen, and to Indigenous suicidal rates in youth. And to everyone who doesn't know about these things, I want you to ask yourself why you don't know. Because the Texas education system does not teach you it. I had to learn about these things within my own community. This red hand symbolizes the missing and murdered Indigenous people crisis. Remember me.
Ma'am, your 2 minutes is up.
I encourage you all to look up what that song means. Thank you.
Lena Martinez Wolfinger.
Good morning. My name is Lena Martinez Wolfinger. My family comes from no other place than Central Texas, and I'm part of the American Indian Native Studies Course Committee. I've spoken to you before, but I hope that today you might hear me in a new way. Today, I want you to imagine that it is 1974 in your family, wherever you were at that time, getting ready for dinner at home. Hear the sounds and see the faces of the people in your own family. Now imagine that a man you don't know shows up. Your parents are cautious, but hospitable, hardworking, and hungry, so they invite him to stay. He's got a funny East Coast accent and tells your mom how to improve her cooking, and your dad to give up red meat and eat more rhubarb. On his way out, he says live oaks are pretty worthless and you should be replacing them with boxwood shrubs. He doesn't ask questions. He just kind of leaves with a laugh and a shake of his head. Your family keeps on living and shares an occasional family laugh about that one night Weird Yankee Doodle came to town. Now imagine that today, your nephew brings home a book that's mostly about rhubarb and box shrubs, but also has a small chapter that says that your family was ruled by patriarchy because your dad ate red meat and fought with the neighbors. Your mom starved the children because she thought rhubarb was witchcraft, and eventually your family lost your house because y'all didn't understand boxwood hedge technology. My fellow Texans, our lives as Native people exist outside of our interactions with Western worldviews. We know our own house better than those who have only ever stopped by for a visit, the equivalent of a single dinner when compared to the time we have lived on this land. Chairman, you have had the course materials for review for a year and have declined our invitations to share any specific concerns you have about this course content, which leaves me to wonder why you don't trust us to talk about our own house. We're professors, lawyers, teachers, social workers, parents, and Texans committed to civic engagement and creating more choice for Texas parents where they have asked for it. Is it that you don't trust the stories you tell about your own house, or because the rhubarb and boxwood stories got you? If there's no other answer you can share with us, please bring the mystery to an end and put this course on the agenda so that the work your fellow Texans, Native Texans, have poured into this course can be appreciated. Thank you.
Carol Anderson. Chokma Sahoshafoa Annette Anderson. I represent the Indigenous Institute of the Americas, and I'm a founding contributor of the American Indian Native Studies Innovative Course. Today, I would like to discuss one of the course standards and my favorite 3 learning objectives. Standard 11 in Science, Technology, and Society states, the student will explore an American Indian and Native worldviews, philosophies, and achievements in interdisciplinary science and technology fields and how they have shaped history and STEM thinking. The expectations for the students: A, analyzing how culturally based knowledge of plant medicines and treatments have influenced modern health interventions. B, describing how traditional seed keeping and growing techniques support foodways and protect the community environment. C, analyzing practices of intergenerational biodiversity management, such as controlled burning, selective animal domestication, agroforestry, and traditional respect for nose-to-tail practices. Oops. So what precisely can the students learn? Over 60% of the world's food supply is dependent on foods cultivated through the scientific knowledge of indigenous people from this hemisphere. How and when did Native people in Texas purposely burn the prairies to prevent uncontrolled wildfires and at the same time improve hunting practices by providing deer, buffalo, and small animals a haven for grazing near our communities? How did complementary farming practices and planting sticks help maintain essential microorganisms necessary for sustainable land practices? And what plants did the Native people of Texas use for medicine, and how are these plants utilized in modern Western pharmacology? These exciting topics can contribute to fostering future agriculturally minded students, paving the way for sustainability in agriculture, water management, and other pressing concerns that Texans face today. Thank you.
Ma'am, that's, thank you.
Jackie Biesinger.
Good morning. While there may be no formal expectations regarding educational backgrounds for the State Board of Education or elections, I strongly believe that the standards should be elevated when forming an ad hoc committee, and of course, it is crucial to assign board members to the committees where their expertise directly aligns with the task at hand. For example, Ms. Little's experience with her teams on social studies project showcases the value of relevant knowledge. Furthermore, it is essential that any board member included in any committee possesses at least a foundational degree of knowledge and a degree as well in the subject matter. It is concerning for a board member, for a board of education, to appoint individuals like Julie Pickering, for example, to positions where they will not contribute anything essential in any topics. This practice is not only disappointing, but undermines the effectiveness of your team and our education system. Thank you for your time.
Okay, I'll call the next group.
As we get the next group up, I'd like to remind testifiers I'm not going to allow ad hominem attacks.
Imanol Margula Vasquez, Orlando Lara, Rachel Codwell. Imanol Margula Vasquez, Orlando Lara, Rachel Codwell.
Osio Nagad, Wesa Dakwadoa, Chichalagi. Hello, y'all. My name is Rachel, and I'm a citizen of the Cherokee Nation, a descendant of the Aniawi, the Deer Clan, and a board member for our Central Texas Cherokee Township. I'm a proud product of the Texas public education system and a first-generation graduate student working on a PhD at the University of Texas at Austin in anthropology and Native studies. I'm here to express my strong support for integrating the proposed American Indian Native Studies course into the state's social studies TEAC system. As the former communications specialist for the state's Parks Division with Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, I've seen how awareness and integration of indigenous worldviews affect practice in real, concrete ways. Whether it's implementing prescribed burns, discussing ethical hunting practices, or planting native grasses that prevent erosion and reinforce our infrastructure, our ability to understand each other and our landscape leads to concrete change and enhances our ability to manage our natural and our cultural resources. With Texas facing compounding challenges like water scarcity, aging infrastructure, and population growth throughout the state, the proposed course equips students with the foundation to address these issues collaboratively and innovatively. Access to the Indigenous knowledge systems through standardized TEKS enriches students' perspectives, encouraging them to think beyond conventional methods to foster skills that are critical for careers in environmental science, engineering, public policy, and more. Our teachers and our students are the backbone of Texas, and this course empowers them to actively participate in stewarding our state's future. It provides cohesive, respectful course standards that have been developed with tribal leaders, ensuring accuracy and authenticity. By approving this course, we benefit all Texans, fostering cross-cultural understanding and enhancing students' preparedness for the complex challenges of our future. I urge the Texas State Board of Education to integrate this course into our TEKS system, as its adoption will contribute to a more well-rounded, comprehensive, and practical education for Texas students. I know I wouldn't be where I'm at today without the help of the countless number of public educators that I've encountered. And I'm just asking that we provide more resources for these educators so that we can continue to change the lives of the students of Texas. So, Wodo, thank you.
Okay, members, we have one late registrant unless there's objection. I intend to take that testimony. Seeing no objection, we'll take it.
Randy Houchins.
Hi, my name is Randy Houchins, mechanical engineer and practical user of math. This is my 20th testimony to the State Board over a 10-year period. I'm focused on elementary math today. Key concerns: overemphasis on multiple methods. The TEKS content standards mandate the teaching of multiple problem-solving methods, area models, pictorial models, symbols and objects, with language such as including and, creating unnecessary complexity. This forces educators to teach every method, regardless of whether it's the most effective or relevant for a given student or problem. TEK 3.4K calls for 7 different ways to multiply. Impact on time and curriculum. Teaching every method consumes instructional time, leading to critical concepts being delayed or omitted. The result is often less practice with the most efficient methods, which impedes mastery and fluency. Punitive assessment structure. The STAR assessments reinforce these standards exclusively on what is tested. Students who struggle with multiple methods or process standards may face unnecessary penalties. Reform math consequences. Reform math and principles embedded in the TEKS prioritize conceptual understanding over procedural fluency. This approach can leave students behind in letter grades, delaying access to higher level math such as algebra by 8th grade or calculus in high school. Teacher autonomy. TEKS remove teacher direction by dictating methodologies, undermining their ability to tailor instruction to the needs of individual students. The goal of math education should be to equip students with skills and confidence to tackle increasingly complex problems. Forcing multiple methodologies at the expense of mastery undermines this goal. Allowing teachers more autonomy to focus on efficiency and understanding can lead to better outcomes for students across all grade levels. The next page gives proposed solutions. I've also given y'all a 40-page document that describes in detail what I'm talking about in this summary. Thank you.
Thank you for the testifiers, or to the testifiers. The next business in order is the approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda begins on page 20. Take a moment to remove the consent agenda. I will state that items 1, 2, and 5 have already been pulled from the consent agenda, so at this point, 3 and 4 are the ones that remain. Okay. So items 1, 2, and 5 have been pulled. They will be heard with the other items, or considered with the other items from the respective committees. Hearing none others to be pulled, the consent agenda is adopted. Page 20. The next item on the agenda is the report of the Committee of the Full Board. The first item is the consideration of instructional materials offered for approval under Instructional Materials Review and Approval Cycle 2024, Agenda Exhibit I-2. Vice Chair Little.
Mr. Chair, the Committee of the Full Board recommends to the State Board of Education that they approve the request from the Curriculum Center for Family and Consumer Services to update content in its personal
That's the auxiliary script. That is the first script.
Oh. Okay, well, let me get, oh, okay. Oh. Okay. He's got it right here. I found him. Okay, sorry about that. Mr. Chair, the Committee of the Full Board recommends to the State Board of Education that they require that publishers of the instructional materials on the approved list make all agreed to changes listed in the individual product reports. Require that all instructional materials meet established manufacturing standards and specifications. Require that all electronic instructional materials comply with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, version 2.1, level AA, and the technical standards required by the Federal Rehabilitation Act, Section 508. Require that materials provide access to a parent portal as required by TEC Section 31.154. Approve changes and corrections submitted in response to written comments and public testimony to the SBOE by November 2024 at 5 p.m. Central Time, and adopt the list of approved instructional materials as prepared by the Committee of the Full Board.
Okay, members, you've heard the motion which comes from the committee, so it doesn't require a second. Is there further debate on the pending motion? Member Brooks.
Mr. Chair, I would just like a little clarity on how we're going to vote for today's materials, please.
So right now, the main motion on the floor came from the committee, so we're on the list of approved instructional materials. So the if you remember back to, I don't remember which day, earlier this week? Tuesday. We built an approved list, and so that's essentially what's on the floor right now, along with that administrative motion that we had before that. Member Brooks.
Mr. Chair, I move to make a motion. Can I make a motion with this OER materials from the approval list to vote separately on as a board?
I don't. Is your motion to remove all Bluebonnet published
Correct.
items from the list?
Yes.
So that's English language arts and math?
And phonics, yes, correct.
Okay. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, being that this is a unique item on our list, I would like for us to, in all fairness, remove the Bluebonnet learning, for members to vote exclusively on those items as not to affect the other approved materials that are on the approval list, given the unique circumstances.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
What's your point of parliamentary inquiry?
And this may be just a question. I think the intent of the mover of the motion is to divide the question. Am I to understand that you're moving to divide the question?
The parliamentarian and I also agree that we believe to be the intent. So would you like to move to divide the question between the current approved list and Bluebonnet?
Mr. Chairman, I move to divide.
Can you pull your microphone closer, please?
Mr. Chairman, I move to divide the approved list with the removal of the Bluebonnet learning curriculum in all subject areas in the EMRA.
I have a point of parliamentary inquiry.
What's your point of parliamentary inquiry?
Is it proper for me to add a friendly amendment to our motion?
No friendly amendments, just friends who have amendments that can work it out, hopefully.
Okay. Member Brooks, would you consider dividing the question amongst the Bluebonnet ELAR materials and the Bluebonnet math materials? Instead of for us to vote on them separately. Instead of the suite of materials, let us vote on them by subject.
Correct. So if just to get clarification, you're saying we would vote on each approval material by subject
Bluebonnet
separately?
ELAR, Bluebonnet math. You don't have to accept it. I'm just, would you consider it?
Okay. The point of parliamentary inquiry, I think, has been answered. If y'all want to work that out, you can do that. She can restate her amendment. Otherwise, we're going to keep moving.
And what's next? Once it comes up.
Okay. Okay.
It could be further divided.
Okay.
After we get to Bluebonnet.
Okay. Just keep it. Just keep it. Just keep it how it is.
Just
keep it how it is.
Okay. We'll take up the Bluebonnet, just so I can be clear on the division of the question, Member Brooks. Are you just dividing it from the list of approved materials, but you're leaving all the rest of the text of the main motion intact?
That is correct, just the Bluebonnet learning for.
I can't hear you.
That is correct, just the Bluebonnet learning materials for ELAR, phonics, and mathematics.
So I've been asked to clarify. So you've got a motion that's got a number of parts to it. There's all the administrative requirements for the approved list and the all in a single motion. And then you have asked simply to remove the Bluebonnet suite for a single separate vote and to divide the question. The motion to divide the question is generally handled without objection. It can be voted on. It's not debatable, and it requires a majority vote for adoption. And at that point, then it's up to the chair as to which of the sections he would like to take up first. And as pointed out earlier in response to Ms. Childs, even though you have divided it just Bluebonnet and everything else, then when the Bluebonnet motion comes up, it could then be further divided by subject were a member to wish to do that. Have I clarified everybody's everything? Thanks.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is the division of the question, basically the last part, dividing Bluebonnet out but applying all the administrative portions. Is there any objection? Member Hickman.
A parliamentary inquiry. Just to clarify what Ms. Kay just said, we are dividing out Bluebonnet, ELAR, and math?
That's not true. What we're doing right now, so if you remember from the other night, the beginning of it had a lot of administrative. We can read it again. So it was talking about web content accessibility guidelines, the Federal Rehabilitation Act, Section 508, all of those things. I'm trying to make sure that we are consistent, that the division of the question includes that. It's just taking out Bluebonnet. And then once we get past this point, it could be further divided, but we have not gotten there yet.
My question is what Bluebonnet is being divided, I think, to Ms. Childs.
Right now,
math and ELAR.
Anything named Bluebonnet in the report is being divided out from the main motion.
That was my question. Thank you.
Thank you. 3 minutes. Okay, is there any objection to Member Brooks' amendment? Sorry, division of the question. Seeing none, the question's divided. We'll take up Bluebonnet first. Member Maynard.
If I may, just to clarify, we received a list here with colors. And we have green, red, and yellow. Just to be clear, this list reflects what we did earlier in the week.
Left-hand column.
Left-hand column.
Mr. Chair, am I recognized to answer his question?
Colin,
all right.
Welcome to the party.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Members, you did just receive 3 tiny print reports. I apologize. They were also emailed to you last night. They're a bit easier to read on a screen. The first is this multicolored one. That's titled M-Recycle 2024, Materials Under Consideration and Commissioner Recommendations. You'll recall Tuesday that the Commissioner had recommendations, and one of those was a split recommendation. He was waiting to better understand this board's interpretation of the suitability requirements, and so has updated his recommendations in the far right-hand column on this document to either place a material on the list of approved materials or to reject that set of materials. Those are the only 2 that we've recommended, those 2 options. So this is just the Commissioner's recommendation and a summary of attributes from all of the product's final reports. You'll notice that there's another new column that's called Phonics Noncompliance Issue. That is the 4th column from the right-hand side. Is everyone able to find that? Great. On Monday, or this was actually Tuesday. On Tuesday, when I was sharing with you, we had questions from Member Maynard and others about the overall score. And I shared that if you double click on that overall score, there are some directly related to phonics products that were built into the rubric in order to comply with phonics rule in Chapter 74.2001. And we realized that by rolling up the total score that we may have inadvertently hid some important information about phonics compliance. So we've added that back in. If you see a yes indicated in that column, that would indicate that that product during our quality review this summer did not fully comply with all of the rules for the Commissioner's rules for phonics materials. And so this body is able to approve those products. However, please know that a district would not be able to only adopt that product to comply with phonics rule. They need to supplement that product in order to comply. So we wanted to make you all aware of that, as I believe is the intention of this body to do full subject, partial subject materials that don't require supplementation for a district if it is on this approved list. So I wanted to flag that for you, that is now here. There are 2 products, or 2 publishers rather, with 3 products total that you all placed on your draft list, we'll call it. That would be 95% phonics. So if you turn to page 3 of 17 on this Commissioner's report.
Colin, I want to be careful. Like right now, the motion on the floor is Bluebonnet.
Okay, yes.
So I know where you're going with this, but I would like to stay focused on Bluebonnet and general orientation of the report, in so much as it is applicable to the Bluebonnet division of the question. But I'm happy to call you back up in a minute to help us understand where you're going.
So that's this report. It outlines the Commissioner's recommendation. Bluebonnet materials are included there. The next report is your products under consideration divided by subject area. So on page 1, you'll have full subject, English language, arts, and reading. So that includes the Savas product and the Bluebonnet product. On page 2, you'll have all of your phonics materials and English language arts. This is where you'll also see the phonics broken out foundational skills product for Bluebonnet. On page 3 of this report, you have mathematics. There at the bottom, you'll see the Bluebonnet materials on page 3 for mathematics. And then page 4 represents Spanish language arts full subject and Spanish language arts phonics materials, where Bluebonnet did not have any submissions into that category. To orient you to this report, the far left-hand column is your initial vote from Tuesday. So if you want to know the current status of a product, it's on the far left-hand side of that document. And then we place the commissioner's recommendation on the far right-hand side that's been updated, along with any flags for phonics noncompliance. So those two reports are your two lists. And I have one more, which is the 258-pager. These are all proposed changes and edits from publishers that we've received. Sorry, my microphone is not working. That we've received before the deadline of 5 p.m. on Wednesday. And so this is, again, sorted by the type of change and then by publisher. So if you're looking for a change that maybe you wanted to see from a publisher, if you can't find it, let us know. We'll help you locate the proposed edit from the publisher. But these will be considered as required changes upon your vote today. So this is just all additional changes that came in between, I believe, Saturday of last week and Wednesday of this week, summarized for you here. So those are the three reports on your desk that might inform your votes today.
Chairman. Yep, Member Perez-Diaz first, and I'll come to you, Member Francis.
Thank you, Chairman. Although, so I'm a little confused. I don't want to speak out of turn. Thank you, Colin, for all of that information. We're not speaking on any of that until we get past Bluebonnet, correct?
Correct. I think what I asked him was to explain what the reports were so that people can orient themselves to the reports. Right now, the motion on the floor is related to Bluebonnet only, but you can't answer the Bluebonnet question if you don't understand all the reports. So I was trying to get everybody oriented on reports in order to answer that question. If it's about a different publisher, we will take it up once we finish the division of the question.
Okay, so then I'm okay to speak on Bluebonnet.
Yes, you are.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for this. I wanted to say really quickly, so I supported the motion. I'm in support of the motion. We have officially divided the question.
Actually, no, we haven't.
Okay.
Thank you. So, yeah.
Yeah. Can we officially?
Yeah.
I thought you did that without.
Yeah, you did.
Actually, no, I did that without objection. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, perfect. All right.
So it is divided. It is appropriate. Member Perez-Diaz. Member Perez-Diaz, then Member Francis.
Okay, understood. So I wanted to say, I'll begin this by acknowledging that there has been a tremendous amount of work poured into the creation of Bluebonnet. I want to thank TEA staff for all of the work and energy that you've put into it. I will say, I've had some time to pour into several of these teacher guides, these student guides. Like, it's a lot. And while I appreciate, how things were structured and laid out for perhaps a new teacher, I will still share that I have some concerns with the prescriptive nature of this content. That said, I do want to acknowledge, it's been said multiple times that this has it's a biblical curriculum. While I absolutely agree that there is Christian bias in this, there are other faiths recognized in this content. However, I will say I still feel that in terms of how lessons are being taught, there are ways to separate the moral of the lesson from religious teachings. And so for that reason, I still stand against Bluebonnet. However, I did want to say that had it not been for the Christian bias in this content, I do really find value in how a lot of these lessons were laid out. So it's unfortunate that we're there in terms of how these lessons, some of these lessons were taught. Additionally, I want to acknowledge that there are a lot of educators who've come and spoken to us. There are a lot of families who've spoken to us about, on both sides of the aisle about what this content looks like for them. And I just want to remind, regardless of how this vote goes down, this is an option for districts. It's not the be-all, end-all. So just wanted to put that out there.
Member Francis.
Thank you, Chairman. So, Colleen, this is just a general question on the documents that you've provided us with. I just wanted to be sure that in so much as it relates to phonics, this document of editorial changes, right? Did the change, because we said we're not able to do a quality review of the material, is that correct? No quality reviews, no suitability reviews, reviewers are gone home.
Real quick, if I can, a clarifying question real quick so I can keep us on track. Is there anything in that 258 pages that applies to Bluebonnet, Colin?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we can just focus on that piece right now, please, Mr. Francis.
Did this list update anything in terms of phonics? Did the commissioner use this to update his decisions on phonics? Or did that not apply to Bluebonnet?
Sorry, the commissioner's recommendation?
Was it based on the update to editorial changes in regards to phonics, if we had a problem with phonics compliance issue?
No, sir. It was based on the reviews that reviewers conducted this summer, where publishers received scores and had opportunities to appeal and provide new content to appeal that score. So this new content was not considered in the commissioner's recommendation. Because we, as staff, aren't able to verify all of this and then have the commissioner consider that. So his is based on his original recommendation and then seeing what the board discussed on Tuesday and then restating it again today, but not inclusive of this report.
I see. So the phonics compliance issue is information you had even Monday, but you didn't present it based on the vote.
It was not featured on the front page of the report. It was in reports that this body received in September, but we realized that it may have gotten hidden in the way that we presented it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And just to be clear, Bluebonnet had no phonics-related issues.
Correct. Those materials in the foundational skills and then for the full subject in the phonics category received the full score for phonics compliance.
Member Childs. Dr. Balmetero.
I would like to say that I also appreciated the effort to include other faith traditions. I appreciate that, but it seems to me like it is trying to place a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. I did not have time to actually take account, and those kinds of numbers help me, but it still impressed me as not an adequate attempt to change that bias and to avoid violating Establishment Clause rules.
Member Hickman.
Just a question for staff. On the 258-page report, we have some Bluebonnet edits, and I'll just do number one, there's updated text, and then there's a URL for the updated URL. I looked at some of these issues for Proc 24, and we had a similar report, and it said what we were adopting. Is this URL going to be kept live? So when someone has a question in a year or two, what did we update and how was it updated? We could see the updates there.
Yes, there is a process where, similar to Proclamation 2024, where after today's vote, staff will then receive a final version incorporating all of these edits from the publisher, and then we will compare and ensure that every edit in this report and all the individual reports that you received on Tuesday are indeed made. And if that's not true, then we come back to this body and explain that and talk about next steps. But to your question of are these archived? Yes. We're able to, the publishers are required to keep them up for just this purpose so that we can compare them.
Okay, and maybe a parliamentary inquiry. Is the motion on the floor to approve Bluebonnet inclusive of these changes in the 258-page report, or do we need to make an amendment to incorporate these changes?
Well, the motion has wording in it. This is why we went around for a while earlier to make sure we had the administrative wording correct. To approve changes and corrections submitted in response to written comments and public testimony to SBOE by November 20th, 2024 at 5 p.m.
Okay, so that's these. So the motion already includes all the edits submitted. Okay, thank you.
Member Hardy.
This is, I may be asking this out of order, but all the corrections, like for example, I heard that in 36 times that they use the word democracy where they should be using constitutional republic in the Bluebonnet. Has that been changed?
I will have staff find that for you and let you know.
Okay.
Member Childs.
Thank you. I just wanted to talk very briefly about Bluebonnet ELAR. As I said Tuesday, I spent a lot of time reviewing Bluebonnet in terms of its stab at including Black history references. It is a great start. I appreciate TA's work with me on going back and forth over the summer and even this week on trying to make it as inclusive as it could be. I know that there are people that have emotions on both sides as to whether or not to vote yes or no on Bluebonnet, but in my profession, we deal with the facts. So when it comes to will Bluebonnet ELAR materials potentially violate the Establishment Clause, I'm thinking about two words, excessive entanglement, right? In the kindergarten materials, Christianity, Christians is referenced 3 times. First grade, referenced 4 times. Second grade, referenced 17 times. Third grade, referenced 190 times. Fourth grade, referenced 81 times. Fifth grade, it's referenced 66 times. So if those facts alone, if a parent or a teacher who didn't feel comfortable teaching this were to bring this up to a court, I believe they would be successful. And in my good conscience, in protecting my bar license, I just do not feel that these materials are yet reflective of the experiences and the nuance of Texas students. So I have to vote against ELAR materials specifically.
Member Hickman.
A few more questions for staff. Just want to clarify what we're doing today. Could any school district already have adopted Bluebonnet, or could they adopt Bluebonnet regardless of how we vote today?
As you're aware, instructional materials are a local decision for any school district. They may adopt any materials they choose as long as they are compliant with state law. The impact of placing a material on this list would be that it is eligible for the new funding entitlements in House Bill 1605 and the General Appropriations Act of the 88th legislative session. And so your question of can a school district still use these? I believe so. There may be a restriction in Chapter 31 on the commissioner making available open education resources without this board's approval, except for pilots. So that is one thing that is different than maybe any other product that you all might be discussing today because of that.
Okay, but every other material, I guess we'll talk about those, but in general, what you're saying is the $40 and the $20 for OER, that's essentially what we're doing. If it's on the list, it's eligible for this funding, including Bluebonnet. If it's not on the list, it's not eligible for the other funding. But school districts adopt lots of materials we don't approve or adopt.
That is correct, and district would still be able to spend their traditional instructional materials technology allotment funds on any product they might choose.
Okay, great, thank you.
Member Brooks and then Dr. Romoter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Dempsey, so I do want a little clarification on a few things. So, schools who choose to use the Bluebonnet, it's my understanding that they cannot use any other instructional materials alongside these materials. Is that correct? How flexible is this program and even down to the time restriction?
To your question of may a school district use other supplemental products alongside this product, the answer is no, that is not correct. Their districts, again, it's a local decision, may this product and others on the full subject list in front of you are designed to cover all the needs that a teacher might have in the classroom for instructional materials. It covers 100% of the TEKS as reported on the report. But yes, districts may implement materials how they see fit. So no, there aren't restrictions on only allowing one product or another inside of a classroom. Districts are just required to report that on their annual certification to state which materials they purchase for all students and ensure that there are materials to cover all the TEKS for all students.
Okay, and for the $40 for the incentives, is that only for schools that choose only materials on the approved list and nothing else to receive the funding?
Correct. We've referred to that one a bit like store credit, right? It's only available for materials that this body eventually approves today on the approved list of instructional materials. If a district chooses not to make a purchase in a particular year, that $40 does accumulate, so it doesn't disappear. So the district is able to decide when they'd like to expend those dollars, and if there's something on the list they'd like to purchase, that's where the $40 per year would come in play.
Okay, so just to be clear, they do have to use all the instructional materials on the adopted list. So they can't pick and choose some on the adopted list and maybe current ones that they're using. It's all in order to receive all the funding?
In terms of implementation, districts have full choice as to which instructional materials they'd like to use.
Yes.
Availability of funding is the difference.
Right.
So they wouldn't be allowed to use some of that funding towards an approved product and then also towards an unapproved product. They can only use the new funding.
But you really wouldn't know, right? So if I want to use the phonics, or if I want to use a few of the instructional materials, I could still use the $40 as long as I use it for that. And I can also pull from other resources that we're already using for.
I understand. That's a great point. As the board is approving these products are in the program bundles that are presented to us. So a district may not a la carte their way of products on the approved list. They cannot only buy just some components of an approved product. They will need to purchase the entire set of components in year one of implementation.
Okay, and lastly, so I've already seen information passed out that says it's already been SBOE approved, this Bluebonnet Learning. Why was that sent out before today's meeting? Is that misinformation?
That is incorrect, as you all have not approved anything, and I don't know about that. So I'm happy to look at it, but I can't speak to it now because I haven't
Thank you so
seen
much,
to what you're
Mr. Lindsey.
referencing.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Somewhat nuanced in that the committee of the full board did recommend to the State Board of Education for approval. So I haven't seen what you're talking about. I don't know who sent it, but there was a recommendation for approval that came out of committee on Tuesday. Vice Chair Little.
Colin, I want to follow up on something that Ms. Brooks was talking about. You said that districts would be allowed to use other supplemental materials, which I know they're probably going to have to because just the questioning strategies in Bluebonnet don't follow the STAR questioning strategies, so they're going to have to use some kind of supplemental. But my question is regarding return on investment. You know, the state of Texas has spent a lot of money on this, and our districts are going to have to spend money for printing, and it's a huge chunk of money. How are we going to know specifically if we're getting a good return on this investment if they can mix other materials with it?
To directly answer your question, we won't know, but that's true for any product that the board approves today, where we're not sure how districts are implementing it. There is a provision in House Bill 1605 that now requires districts to report back to the agency everything they've purchased, whether it is with these approved funds or with local dollars. And so that will hopefully give this body a better picture into what is the universe of instructional materials that districts are purchasing, not just materials purchased with the instructional materials technology allotment or these other entitlement funds, because that is correct. We don't know in terms of implementation how products get used, but we do have, or this body rather, has purview over what can be purchased with these new funds. And again, in year one, it's required that districts purchase the entire set of materials that were submitted for review, because the quality score is based on each component, not just a selection of components inside of that product, for Bluebonnet or any other material under Emma review this year.
Right, I understand that, but Bluebonnet is the one that has the taxpayers' investment in it. A publisher, that's a business, but it's very concerning to me how much money we have spent, that taxpayers have spent, that we're not going to be able to get an accurate return on our investment. And it seems to me that in the state of Texas today, we are treating school districts more like businesses all the time, rather than an educational, rather than education. And it just concerns me that we are really going to have no way of measuring our ROI on this, and I think the taxpayers deserve that.
Member Childs.
I have a question for legal. If some parts of Bluebonnet ELAR were litigated in court, and it was struck down, would just the certain parts that are argued in court be struck down, or the entire suite of Bluebonnet?
It would depend what the lawsuit was. The people who brought the lawsuit were asking, and it would depend on what the judge ordered. And of course, we're always going to follow whatever the judge orders.
Further questions or discussion? Member Childs.
I'd like to make a motion to divide the question.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to further divide the question.
Between Bluebonnet ELAR and Bluebonnet Math.
Is there any objection to the division of the question? Are you objecting?
No.
So right now, you're three subjects.
I'm trying to divide the question between all of the ELAR products, which includes phonics and the content areas, and math. Yes.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second for the division of the question. Is there any objection to the division, the further division of the question? You object. Member Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do like what was suggested by the parliamentarian to first do it this way.
Member Brooks, this is not a debatable item.
Just subject.
So she can.
If you don't like this, the method of division that's in the motion, you would have to defeat this and offer a different motion for division.
I don't have another option. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of the further division of the question as offered by Member Childs, please show by raising your hand. Four. All those opposed, please show by raising your hand. 6, 4-6, the further division fails. So we're
Point of
back.
parliamentary inquiry. So
What's your point of parliamentary inquiry?
when we vote on Bluebonnet now, are we voting for both Bluebonnet, ELAR, and math?
Yes. Okay, is there any further debate on Bluebonnet? You ready to vote? Member Perez Diaz.
So just for clarity, if I were in support of Bluebonnet Math, but not in support of Bluebonnet ELAR, I don't know how I would vote, because I don't want to exclude Bluebonnet Math. I actually supported Bluebonnet Math. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I'm trying to avoid doing that.
So right now, the motion that we are getting ready to vote for is for the entire suite of Bluebonnet products that has been offered.
So the last motion that was made would have helped my situation.
That's correct.
And now I will be forced to vote down one of the texts or some of the offerings that I would have liked to have supported. Is there any way to go back and restate that motion so that my colleagues understand what I'm trying to accomplish? They may have supported at least that.
Member Hardy.
I didn't vote for this, so could I make that motion?
You have to vote. So this is a parliamentary inquiry as well. So unlike earlier in the week when we were the committee of the full board, now we are the full board. In the committee of the full board, you could move to reconsider if you were not on, or if you did not vote, or if you were on the prevailing side. Basically, if you didn't lose. But in the full board today, the rules are you have to have voted in order to be able to reconsider. You voted on the prevailing side? You would have had to have voted on the negative side.
I thought he was all, yeah, she was one of the six. She was one of the two.
Okay. You can move to reconsider.
Okay, I'll make that. I'd like to move to reconsider.
Second.
Okay, it's not debatable. So what are we voting on now? We're voting on whether to go back and re-vote on the division of the question that breaks out the Bluebonnet suite into math and ELAR, including phonics. Does everybody understand what we're doing?
Unfortunately, and I have to look it up because we're way down into the weeds here. Can't be reconsidered. So how I would suggest that you restate the motion is to suspend the rules and reconsider.
Okay, the parliamentarian is advising me that we need to restate the motion to suspend the rules and reconsider.
Okay. So I make the motion that we rescind the rules?
Suspend?
Suspend the rules to reconsider. So we have to do that vote before we can do the next vote.
Motion is second. Does everybody understand what we're doing? We're voting on whether to go back and re-vote on the thing that we just voted on. So if you would like to, basically if you would like to vote on ELAR separate from math, you should vote yes here. And if you do not want to do that, you should vote no. Clear? Okay, all those in favor of the motion to reconsider, please show by raising your hand. Eight. All those opposed, please show by raising your hand. Six. 8-6, the motion carries. So we're back to the division of the question between.
Yeah.
We're separate.
No,
We're deciding whether
you're right.
So we're back to deciding whether we are going to separate the math and the math from the ELAR portion.
Do I need to make that motion?
No, we are back to it now.
Okay. Didn't get wiped out.
It's not debatable.
It's not debatable. Okay. Ready to vote? So if you want to separate math and ELAR, you should vote yes. If you don't, you should vote no. Clear? Okay, all those in favor, please show by raising your hand. Eight, thank you. All those opposed, please show by raising your hand. 6, 8-6, the division, the motion to divide further passes. We will take up the ELAR component first. So this is inclusive of phonics. Is there further debate on this? You ready to vote? Okay.
Can I request a roll call vote?
A roll call vote has been requested and it will be granted. I will explain what we're voting on again. So if you would like to remove all the ELAR Bluebonnet components from the list of approved materials, you should vote yes. Yes equals removal from the list. If you would like to leave them on, you should vote no. Member Hickman.
I thought the committee of the full board made the recommendation to approve Bluebonnet, and we are voting to adopt the committee's report, which was to approve. So it's the opposite of what you just said.
Yeah, I think you're correct, Member Hickman. Thank you. So now that I've sufficiently confused everybody, the committee's motion was to approve for the state board to approve the approved list, correct? And now we've divided that out. So we're talking about the approval of Bluebonnet ELAR to the final approved list. So if you want it added to the list, you should vote yes here. If you do not want Bluebonnet added to the final list, you should vote no. Thank you. Any question? Yes is approved, no is unapproved. Please call the roll.
Member Ortega?
I'm sorry, one more time, can you rephrase that?
Yes.
Removal.
Yes is remove. No. Yes is approved. No is removed. Thank you. Yes is approved.
Wait, you just confused me again.
Yes is yes and no is no.
So no removal or yes removal?
If you want to approve Bluebonnet ELAR, you should vote yes. If you do not want to approve it, you should vote no.
Totally confused me again. One more time. I thought I had the answer and now you confused me again.
If you want to approve Bluebonnet ELAR, you should vote yes. If you do not want that to happen, you should vote no.
Okay, my vote is no.
Member Francis?
Yes.
Member Perez-Diaz?
No.
Member Childs?
No.
Member Belmetero?
No.
Member Hickman?
Yes.
Member Pickren?
Yes.
Member Young?
Yes.
Yes.
Member Maynard?
Yes.
Member Hardy?
No.
Vice Chair Little?
No.
Member Racine?
Yes.
Member Brooks?
No.
Chair Kinsey?
Yes.
Eight yes. 7 no.
8-7, the motion passes. Bluebonnet will be added to the approved list. It's Bluebonnet ELAR, thank you. We're on to Bluebonnet math now. Is there further discussion about Bluebonnet math? Member Francis.
Thank you, Chairman. This is, again, just to clarify to publishers that this does not, if this vote carries, it does not in any way signal a single methodology of teaching mathematics. As I stated before, I am not in favor of this methodology, but it's an option, and I just wanted to be clear for publishers who are watching.
Member Brooks and Perez-Diaz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For our math, I really believe that we should really consider revising our elementary math TEKS. I believe that if we can get to the foundation of that.
Member Brooks, this is not germane to the motion. Member Perez-Diaz.
Thank you, Chairman. Just for clarification, I want to state to the publishers as well that the State Board of Education as a governance body is not responsible for methodology, nor should we ever be. We are not practitioners around this. Well, not all of us are practitioners around this table. Methodology belongs in the classroom and not to the publishers. So that is why I'm supporting this, because I think that it helps our math educators. And I also want to acknowledge that while there are lesson plans that are in these books, I think that it allows for newer teachers to understand and learn the process. But there's also, like, I would encourage educators to also not forget their creativity. Thank you.
Member Hickman, Pickering, and then back to Brooks.
I got a procedural question. If we remove a material from the approved list, would that automatically add it to another list? Or conversely, if we added a new material to the approved list, would that take it off the other list it's currently on? Or do we need to do all those cleanups when we get to the subsequent lists?
We need to do the cleanups when we get to the subsequent list to deal with anything that's not on a list at the end.
Or that we don't have the material on two lists?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Member Pickering?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to remind my fellow board members that the Commissioner in public testimony did state that we do have influence over methodology in math, and that TEA attorneys have now said in two public meetings that we do have authority over the methodology. So out of respect to what Member Francis is saying, I do respect what he is saying. However, I do fully support the Bluebonnet math. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Member Brooks.
Thank you. I would like to see that, because there is methodology in the math curriculum. The methodology is the multiple algorithms approach. That is in there. It is in our TEKS, and that is removing the teacher's methodology autonomy.
Is there further discussion? Member Perez-Diaz.
I'm sorry, I'm going to sound like I'm beating a dead horse. I've been on this board a long time. This body, prior to 1605, has never been involved in methodology. Again, nor should we be. That is the role of educators. And so I will say, if what was said earlier, Chris, would you be able to help and clarify what seemed like a very confident...
And also clarify for me if this is germane to the discussion before I rule it out of order.
Well, when you're making your TEKS, you're not supposed to put in methodology.